How does the tech that runs our world really work? We break it down to its fundamental truths. This is First Principles.
You're at your desk, or maybe on a crowded train. You take your wireless earbuds out of their case. You put them in your ears. You hear that little sound, a short synthesized chime, a tiny chord, maybe a quiet voice saying "connected." And just like that, music flows. Your phone is in your pocket, but the sound is pristine, right inside your head. You haven't plugged anything in. You haven't entered a password. You just connected. We almost never think about it. We just assume this little wireless bubble will form around us. But how does this actually work? What simple rules make it possible for your tiny earbud to talk to your phone flawlessly, while they are both surrounded by a screaming chaos of other signals? Today on First Principles, we are opening one of the most common yet most mysterious black boxes in our daily lives. We are deconstructing that little stylized bee that lives in the top corner of our screens. We are going to understand the unsung network, Bluetooth. That little connection sound, that boop bloop, it's a signal of trust. It's the sound of a personal network being born, and we rely on it for so much. Think about your day. You wake up. Maybe you have a fitness tracker on your wrist. It's been quietly monitoring your sleep, and it's already synced with your phone, which is charging on the nightstand. The data is just there. You get in your car. Before you've even buckled your seatbelt, your phone has paired with the car's stereo. The podcast you were listening to yesterday picks up right where it left off, now playing through the car speakers. You get to the office. You jiggle your wireless mouse. The cursor on your screen, 20 feet away, wakes up. You start typing on your wireless keyboard. The words appear instantly. A notification pops up on your computer screen. You glance at your smartwatch. The same notification is already there. This is the magic we see. It's not like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is our link to the world. It's a big, powerful pipe that connects us to the global internet. It's for downloading gigabytes of data, for streaming 4K movies. It has a long range. You set it up once, you enter a password, and you hope the signal reaches the back bedroom. Bluetooth is something else entirely. It's not about the internet. It's about you. It's for your personal area network. A PAN. It's the invisible thread that stitches your personal devices together. Your phone to your headphones, your computer to your mouse, your tablet to your stylus. It's low power, it's short range, and most importantly, it's supposed to be effortless. We've gotten so used to this magic that the only time we ever think about it is when it fails. When your headphones stubbornly refuse to connect. When the audio stutters. When you're staring at that spinning, searching for devices wheel. In that moment of frustration, we get a tiny glimpse of how complex this problem must be. How do all these devices, from dozens of different manufacturers, all agree on how to talk to each other? How do they do it without draining their tiny batteries in 10 minutes? And how on earth, do they manage to have a clear conversation in the middle of the deafening, invisible storm of radio signals that surrounds us every single second? That radio storm is the key. To understand why Bluetooth is so brilliant, we first have to understand the world it was born into. We have to go back to a time before the magic, a time of wires. Let's go back to the mid-1990s. Imagine a typical office desk. On it sits a big beige computer tower, a bulky CRT monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, a printer, and connecting all of them, a snake's nest of thick gray cables. The keyboard and mouse have their own special connectors, called PS2 ports. The printer connects to a massive 25-pin parallel port. Your modem, for dial-up internet, connects to a 9-pin serial port. Your joystick for playing a game after work. a different 15-pin port. Every single device had its own proprietary, single-purpose, and utterly incompatible cable. It was a mess, it was ugly, it was expensive, and it was a huge barrier. If you wanted to, say, sync the contacts from your fancy new Ericsson mobile phone to your computer, you had to buy a specific cable, find the right port, install special software, and pray that it worked. This was the problem. The world was filling up with new digital devices, mobile phones, pagers, laptops, the first personal digital assistants or PDAs. But getting them to talk to each other, or even to a computer, was a nightmare. The industry called this problem cable replacement. Wi-Fi was just starting to emerge, but it wasn't the answer. Wi-Fi was designed to replace the big network cables in an office. It was complex, it was expensive, and it was power-hungry. You couldn't put a Wi-Fi chip in a tiny mouse or a headset. The battery would be dead before your first song was over. The world needed something new, something cheap, something simple, and something that used almost no power. It didn't need to send a movie, it just needed to send a mouse click, or a few seconds of audio for a phone call, a disposable connection that could be created and torn down in an instant. In 1994, in Lund, Sweden, a team of engineers at the telecom company Ericsson was working on this exact problem. They were trying to build a wireless headset for their new line of mobile phones. A small problem, but one that held the seed of a huge idea. One of these engineers was a man named Jaap Hartson. He and his team were tasked with creating a short-range radio link that could solve this. They built a prototype. It worked. But it was just an internal Ericsson project. Soon, other companies, Intel, Nokia, IBM, realized they were all trying to solve the exact same problem. They were all building their own proprietary, incompatible wireless cable replacers. They were about to repeat the sins of the 1990s desk, only this time with invisible radio waves. In 1998, these rivals did something remarkable. They decided to collaborate. They formed a special interest group, or SIG, to create a single open standard that all their devices could use. But they needed a name for this new standard, something better than short-range radio link. The story goes that Jim Kardak of Intel, one of the founders of the group, was a history buff. He was reading a book about Vikings. He learned about a king who lived in the 10th century named Harald Bluetooth Gormson. Harald Bluetooth was famous for one thing. He united the warring, disparate tribes of Denmark and Norway into a single kingdom. And that was the perfect metaphor. This new technology was designed to unite the warring, disparate protocols of the tech industry, the serial ports, the audio jacks, the data cables, under one single wireless standard. The name stuck. Even the logo is a piece of this story. It's not just a stylized B, it's a bindrune, a combination of two ancient Viking runes, H for Harald and B for Bluetooth. So, they had a name, they had a mission, but now they had to solve the real problem, the physics. How do you build this low-power, unifying radio? The first and biggest challenge wasn't the devices, it was the airwaves. To send any wireless signal, you need a frequency, a radio channel. Most frequencies are strictly controlled and licensed by governments. You have to pay billions for the right to use them. That's what cell phone carriers do. But there are a few unlicensed bands of spectrum, frequencies that are essentially a public park. Anyone can use them for free. One of the most popular is the 2.4 GHz band. It was perfect for this new Bluetooth standard. It was available worldwide from the US to Europe to Japan. It was free. There was just one massive, terrifying problem. It wasn't just a public park. It was a chaotic, deafeningly loud, public battleground. This 2.4 GHz band was already crowded. It's where the brand new 802.11b Wi-Fi standard lived. It's where a lot of cordless phones lived. And worst of all, it was the frequency used by literally every microwave oven on the planet. A microwave oven is, essentially, a giant sloppy radio transmitter. When it's running, it floods the 2.4 GHz band with a deafening roar of electromagnetic noise. This is the core problem Bluetooth had to solve. How do you have a quiet, reliable, low-power conversation in the middle of a heavy metal concert right next to a running jet engine? This brings us to a very common misconception. People often think Bluetooth is just weak Wi-Fi, that it's a tiny, low-power version of the same thing. This could not be more wrong. Wi-Fi's approach to this noisy room is to try and shout. A Wi-Fi router picks one wide channel in that 2.4 GHz band, and it stays there. It blasts its signal with as much power as it can, trying to drown out the interference. If two Wi-Fi networks are on the same channel, they have to listen and take turns, or just try to shout over each other. It's a brute force approach, and it takes a lot of power. If Bluetooth tried to do this, it would fail instantly. A tiny earbud doesn't have the battery power to shout, and the moment you turned on your microwave, its signal would be completely vaporized. So, the engineers at Ericsson, led by Jaap Hartson, reached for a different solution, a much older, more clever, and more elegant idea, an idea born from a secret patent filed during World War II. The idea is called frequency hopping spread spectrum. The name sounds incredibly complex, but the first principle behind it is beautifully simple. Let's go back to our analogy of the chaotic loud party. The room is filled with people shouting, Wi-Fi networks, cordless phones ringing, and a giant microwave oven blaring in the corner. Wi-Fi tries to stand in one corner and yell. Bluetooth does something completely different. It decides to move. Imagine you and a friend are trying to have a conversation. Instead of shouting, you prearrange a secret pattern. You agree that you will whisper the first word of your sentence in this corner of the room. Then you will both instantly jump in perfect sync to another corner 10 feet away. You'll whisper the second word, then jump again, and again, and again. You jump to a new spot, a new channel, 1,600 times every single second. From the outside, to everyone else at the party, your conversation is just random, meaningless noise. A little blip of sound here, a tiny whisper there. It's spread so thin across the entire room that it doesn't bother anyone. And crucially, no one can bother you. What happens if you jump to a corner where a Wi-Fi network is already shouting? Or you land on the exact frequency the microwave oven is polluting? Simple. You lose that one word, that one tiny piece of your sentence. But it doesn't matter, because a millisecond later, you've both jumped to a new corner, a clear one, and you just resend that word. This is the first principle of Bluetooth. It doesn't fight interference, it avoids it. It's a high-speed, synchronized dance. This is what's happening inside your phone and your headphones. The 2.4 GHz band is split into 79 different channels, or corners, of the room. Your phone and your headphones are hopping between these 79 channels in a pre-agreed, pseudo-random sequence 1,600 times every second. They send a tiny packet of data, hop, send another packet, hop, hop, hop. This technique is called adaptive frequency hopping. The adaptive part is even smarter. Modern Bluetooth devices are constantly listening to the room. They know which channels are noisy. They know that channel 22 is where your Wi-Fi router lives. They know channel 40 inches is polluted by your old cordless phone. So, they just take those channels out of the dance. They agree to only hop between the 50 or 60 clean channels. They adapt their secret pattern in real time to be even more robust. This is why your Bluetooth headphones mostly work even in a crowded airport terminal filled with hundreds of other phones, Wi-Fi networks, and God knows what other radio signals. Your connection isn't a continuous stream. It's a million tiny, fragmented packets stitched back together, hopping across the spectrum at a speed you can't even perceive. But this raises the next logical question, a huge one. How do the two devices, your phone and your earbud, know the secret pattern? How do they agree on the dance steps? And how do they stay in perfect time, down to the microsecond, to jump together 160t0 times a second? This is the aha moment. This is the process we call pairing. When you put your headphones into pairing mode, they're not just saying, "I'm here." They're standing up at the party and shouting, "I'm looking for a dance partner. Anyone?" Your phone discovers them. You tap connect. In that instant, a negotiation happens. This negotiation is the core of how Bluetooth works. The devices don't just agree to talk, they establish a hierarchy. One device becomes the master, the other becomes the slave. This is the official terminology. In our analogy, the master is the dance caller. Usually, your phone becomes the master. It has the most processing power. The master's job is to create the dance. It generates the unique pseudorandom hopping sequence. It decides the timing of the hops based on its own internal clock. It then tells this secret pattern to the slave device, the headphones. From that moment on, the slave's only job is to obey. It stops thinking. It just listens to the master. The master says, "Jump," it jumps. The master sends a packet of audio data at a specific microsecond, and the slave knows to be on that exact channel at that exact microsecond to receive it. This tiny synchronized network, one master and at least one slave, all hopping together on one secret pattern, has a name. It's called a piconet. A pico network, tiny, personal. This is the true first principle of Bluetooth. It's not just a one-tune connection. It's the creation of a tiny, private, synchronized, and invisible network. And here's where it gets even more powerful. A single master device can be the dance caller for up to 7 active slave devices at the same time. This is what's happening in your car. Your phone is the master. Your car stereo is slave number 1. Your smartwatch on your wrist is slave number 2. Your car's hands-free microphone is slave number 3. They are all part of the same piconet. They are all following the same hopping pattern dictated by your phone. The master orchestrates the entire dance. It sends a packet of music to the car stereo. Hop. It sends a notification to the smartwatch. Hop. It checks for a signal from the microphone. Hop. 1,600 times a second. A frantic, perfectly coordinated ballet of data, and all you experience is your music playing and your watch vibrating at the right time. This master-slave piconet model is what makes Bluetooth so robust and so versatile. It's not a chaotic free-for-all. It's a tiny, temporary dictatorship. And it solves so many problems. It explains why you can have two people sitting next to each other on a bus, both listening to their own music on their own Bluetooth headphones. They're just two different picones, two separate dances happening in the same room. The chance of your phone, Master A, and your friend's phone, Master B, independently generating the exact same pseudorandom hopping sequence out of the trillions of possibilities, and then also starting that sequence at the exact same microsecond, is practically zero. They are invisible to each other. It also explains one of the most common frustrations. Why is it so annoying to switch your headphones from your laptop to your phone? Because your headphones, the slave, can only listen to one dance caller, one master at a time. They are paired to your laptop. They know its dance. To connect to your phone, you have to break that connection. You have to tell the headphones, stop listening to the laptop. Go back into pairing mode. Wait for a new master. Then your phone has to discover them, become their new master, and teach them its dance. This is why newer multi-point headphones are so prized. They are smart enough to be a slave in two picones at once. They can be paired to both your laptop and your phone. They listen to the laptop's dance, but they are also listening for a high-priority wake-up call from the phone. When a call comes in, the phone shouts, "Hey," and the headphones instantly switch, telling the laptop, "Be right back," and joining the phone's piconet full-time. It's an incredible feat of microsecond timing, all happening invisibly. So, we have a world before Bluetooth, a world of wire-clogged desks. We have the problem, a crowded, noisy radio spectrum. And we have the first, brilliant solution. Don't shout, dance. Create a piconet with a master and a slave, and hop between 79 channels 1600 times a second. This is what we call Bluetooth Classic. It's what sends the rich, high-bandwidth audio to your headphones. It's what connects your keyboard. It's an amazing solution. But for a long time, it had a limit. That constant, high-speed dance, 1600 hops a second, even for a low-power radio, that takes energy. Your headphones last for a day, maybe two. Your wireless mouse lasts for a few months. But what about a year? What about 5 years? What if you want to build a device that runs for half a decade on a tiny, flat, coin cell battery? Think about a heart rate monitor, or a smart thermostat, or that little tile or AirTag tracker you put on your keys. These devices don't need to stream music. They don't need a constant, high-speed connection. The heart rate monitor only needs to send one tiny piece of data, 72 beats per minute, and it only needs to send it every few seconds. The classic Bluetooth piconet model is total overkill for this. It's like hiring a full symphony orchestra just to play a single doorbell chime. It's a huge waste of energy. This was the next great problem. How do you use Bluetooth for the Internet of Things? How do you connect billions of tiny sensors that need to sip, not gulp power? The answer, which came in 2010, is the other half of the Bluetooth story. It's a technology that shares the same name but operates on a completely different first principle. This is our unseen giant. It's called Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE. And its core principle is not dance. Its core principle is sleep. A classic Bluetooth device, like your headphones, is in a constant, high-speed conversation with its master. It has to be awake and listening every millisecond to be ready for the next hop. A Bluetooth low-energy device does the exact opposite. It is asleep 99.99% of the time. When it's asleep, it's using virtually zero power. it's just off. Then, at a preset interval, maybe once a second, maybe once a minute, it wakes up. It stays awake for just a few milliseconds, a tiny, tiny fraction of a second. In that microscopic window, it doesn't try to join a complex, 79-channel piconet. It does something much, much simpler. It advertises. It just shouts a single tiny packet of data into the void. It uses 3 specific, dedicated advertising channels, different from the 79 hopping channels, and just broadcasts. It's like a tiny lighthouse. It wakes up, it flashes its light once. Hi, I'm Tile Tracker Alpha. My battery is at 82%. And then it goes back to sleep. Your phone, which is now a Bluetooth low-energy scanner, is quietly listening on those 3 advertising channels. It hears the flash from the lighthouse. It says, "Got it. Tracker Alpha is nearby," and it updates its location on your app. The tracker itself has no idea if it was heard or not. It doesn't care. It just did its job. It advertised. It'll wake up in another few seconds and do it again. This is a complete philosophical shift. Classic Bluetooth is about a connection. It's a two-way, stateful, synchronized conversation. Bluetooth Low Energy is about data. It's connectionless. It's about tiny, periodic, one-way broadcasts. It's the difference between a phone call and a text message. And this advertising model is what enables the magic of your Tile tracker. It's not connected to your phone. It's just shouting its name into the void every few seconds. Your phone hears it. But what if you lose your keys at the park? Your phone is too far away to hear the advertisement. This is where the network part comes in. The tracker is still shouting, and someone else's phone walking past with their Bluetooth on will hear that advertisement. Their phone will recognize it as a lost device and securely, anonymously, report its location back to the network. Your phone gets a notification. Your keys were just seen at 123 Main Street. That person's phone was a passive listener, a helpful stranger who overheard your tracker's tiny broadcast and passed the message along. All because of that simple, sleep and advertise first principle. This sleep model is the secret to the Internet of Things. Your smart lock can run for a year on 4Ah batteries. Your diabetes glucose monitor can run for weeks on a tiny rechargeable cell. Your smart light bulb can sit there using almost no power, just listening for a BLE advertisement packet that says, "Hey, turn on." And this is the modern world of Bluetooth. It's not one standard, it's 2. You have Bluetooth Classic, the powerful dance of the piconet, streaming high-fidelity audio to your headphones. And you have Bluetooth Low Energy, the sleepy lighthouse that enables a universe of tiny, battery-powered sensors. Your phone, your laptop, they are masters of both. They are bilingual. They can be the master of a classic piconet for your speakers, while simultaneously being a scanner for the low-energy advertisements from your smartwatch. They are the central hub, the translators, the conductors of your entire personal orchestra. We started this journey with a simple, magical boop-bloop sound, the sound of a connection. We assumed it was just a simple radio link, a tiny, invisible wire. But when we looked closer, when we reasoned up from the first principles, we found something far more complex and far more beautiful. We found a world that was drowning in wires, desperate for a solution. We found a problem, a radio band so noisy it seemed impossible to use. And we found the solution wasn't brute force. It wasn't about shouting. It was about elegance. The first principle was avoidance, the genius of the frequency hopping dance, a secret high-speed ballet that moves 1,600 times a second to find the quiet corners in a loud room. The second principle was orchestration, the surprising aha of the master-slave relationship, the fact that Bluetooth isn't just a connection, it's a network, a tiny synchronized piconet with a dance collar and its followers. And finally, we found a second hidden revolution, the unseen giant of Bluetooth Low Energy, a new first principle that taught us a profound lesson in engineering. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. The principle of sleep, the power of waking up for just a millisecond to send one meaningful piece of data and trusting the network to hear it. Understanding this matters because Bluetooth is the model for the future of computing. It's not about one giant, all-powerful computer. It's about dozens of small, specialized, low-power devices, all working in concert. Bluetooth is the thread that ties them all together. It's the technology that makes them personal. It's the story of a Viking king who united a kingdom, and it's the story of a tiny radio built on the principle of a dance that united our digital lives. It's the unsung, invisible accord, happening all around us all the time.
You've been listening to First Principles. Until next time, stay curious.